What's up, guys? Jordan from Bennett's Customs. Yet again, another race car episode. We're narrowing down the list, I think, and the days are narrowing down too. But we're getting there, I think. Getting a bit,
Schwinkler.
Yeah, Schwinkler is doit. On this episode, gonna cover mounting the tank. World War II oxygen tank used in the bombers. Fully stainless, and I think it's gonna be like, we haven't actually filled it up yet to measure, but I believe it's probably around 25 to 30 liters. I'm hoping more on the 30 liter side, but that's okay. Anyways, as you've seen in previous clips about how we're gonna do it with the little fuel door on the side, and we already got a pickup off the bottom, which is perfect, and we got our nice little breather tube here that we'll be able to do some copper lining with. So this is gonna basically fix in right behind me like that, with enough room between the seat and the tank, hopefully for a battery or battery somewhere. Haven't figured out where that's gonna go. But what I did was I made a hoop, and that hoop, move all the tools. What I have is this little hoop that I just bent up. This is out of the 38.1 mil Speedway tubing. And what I'm gonna do is put it right around like that. I'm actually gonna cut this and just open it up a bit. I kind of screwed up my measurements by 10 mil. So it's gonna go like that, and then we're gonna just have some leather or something, some strapping, and then some flat bar that'll kind of wrap up in two pieces. And then we'll just have like a sleeve with a bolt going through it on both sides, and that'll just hold it in. And then this is gonna sit basically like that. The seat will be here, and then we'll be able to just do like a little, this will have like an attachment, and straight through the back of the body I'll be able to put like a little push bar on the back of it, and we'll tie this in to the frame just so it's all kind of structurally sound. We want to make sure that this is nice and strong, but I think this is going to work. I didn't want to do a bunch of welding to this and make tabs and stuff off of it, because I just really like the kind of patina that it has. I don't want to touch it at all. I just want to leave it. So if anything, I will have to cut one hole in it to put the neck in, but that's okay. Other than that, we're going to get straight into it, because we are limited on time. what we have here is a little bit of 40 by 5 mil flat bar. And what I've done is I've made a clamp that goes all the way around and bolts through and is nice and tight. So I need to make 2 of those. So I'm going to show you how I did that. Kind of looks like a little minion with a head torch on. Front Model A brake drum piece that I cut off the race car. This is what I'm using to wrap the steel around. It's actually the same diameter, outside diameter, of the oxygen bottle, which was perfect. So I'm just gonna wrap it around, and what I've used for the sleeve tubing, what you'd call it, is the old steering shaft that I had left over because it's got a nice thick wall on it. So 7/16 bolt goes straight through, or 1/2 inch, sorry. So I just weld that on and then I cut it, and then I'll just dress these edges, maybe drill some holes, but probably not because I just want to get this one done. So what we're gonna do is just set up a few clamps. I'm gonna manually, with no heat, just pull it all the way around, clamp it, tack it in place, then we'll weld this in, cut that, let it spring out, and then we'll just pull it around, put the bolt through, and slide it on. Probably a bit hot, but basically, say basically a lot, I think. This is, ouch, yeah, she's hot. I should just keep the gloves on. I'll just grab this. No, I won't. I'm just gonna put this on. A slip roller? Damn. Would have made this job 1,000 times faster, but Model A cut drum and lots of clamps and manipulation. I got it there and it works, so I'm happy with it. Just want to get it started. It's kind of a bit off ground, but I think it doesn't really matter because once, I think the other one turned out way better, but let's just get it onto here. So hopefully similar to the same setup. Yep. And what I'll probably end up doing is I'll use a little bit longer of a bolt. And I'll try. I'd like to get some leather leather strapping to go in between the metal and the actual tank itself, just to add a little bit of insulation. But if I try and something. Oh, length. I'll square it up. Square it up after, but let's just suck it up and see what it does. Could use like a bit of 50 mil by 3 mil rubber. That would work. Lots of ways I could have done this, but I'm just making do with what I got tonight. It's late. I just want to try and achieve something. What I'm going to do is recut this. I'm going to open it up. This is going to go around it like that. I could almost just leave that just like that and weld it. Have it a bit off center, you know? What rules out there saying it's got to be dead center? Yeah, so I might just do that. Something like that.
Hello, Liza. How do you do? I'm writing you a letter. I hope it reaches you. I know it's been a long time since you heard from me. I'm still kicking around here in Tennessee. I heard you got a new place. I heard you got a new job. I heard you got a haircut, and it looks real nice. Are you ever lonely? Do you ever think of me? I heard you got a new man. I hope it treats you right. And before you toss this letter away, there's something that I've got to say. An aeroplane shooting across the sky can surely take your body to a new place for a while. But some things stay no matter where you go. Do you still
Okay, this is what I've come up with. So, as you can see, it's off center. If I go like that, which is kind of what I wanted. Seat's gonna be behind here. These will be on the sides. And then what I should be able to do is build a little kind of hoop off here. And then that will hold the push bar off the end. So the reason I've done it offset, two things. One, I wanted to have a guard for the bottom fuel pickup, and then the diff is kind of right here, so I wanted to make sure that there was going to be no issues with the torque tube ever coming up and hitting the tank. Second is I want to these are not tight, as I want to tack them into place where they are, so that when I go to put in a bit of rubber or leather between here, I'll be able to tighten it right up. And if you can imagine, this is going to be welded on both sides here, so it's going to not really do much pulling here, but it will pull this down. So the reason I've done it off center as well is because once this is tacked into the bar, those straps, when this bit gets pinched, it should push the tank down tight along the bottom here as well. So that's kind of what I'm trying to achieve. So I think it'll work. I think it's going to look really cool. I'm just going to do a couple passes. I tried using the TIG welder on this stuff after I cleaned it like a ton, and I was still getting heaps of porosity, which was really annoying. So I ended up just using the MIG. So I'll do the same. I'm not too phased by it. It's all going to get painted black anyways, but I just really like using the TIG welder and getting a nice pass, but I'll do the same with the MIG. So let's get this tacked into place, and then we'll build our struts that are going to come off here, and we'll get this thing tacked into the car.
All my friends tell me she's the one that got away, but you never left me like a ghost you stay. There's nothing else worth thinking of when you find the one you love. An aeroplane shooting across the sky can surely take your body to a new place for a while, but some things stay no matter where you go. Do you still love me, Liza, babe? Please tell me yes or
So right now I just got the cheap and easy Eastwood tube notcher in the drill press. Works a treat. And one little thing too is when I used to notch a ton of stuff for like K members or bumpers or any, you know, sliders for four-wheel drives, you'd have to, you know, whatever your length is, I would always have to kind of get a grinder in there and trim off the excess before getting this to pass all the way through, because it would hit the top. So usually what I do is you know, there's our really nice notch, and what I'll do is I'll just go, say if that's our measurement, and our measurement is 160 mil, that's the length of this to the inside where it's going to contact, and I've added 15 mil, so I cut it at 175, and then that was able to actually have the piece, you know, when the hole saw went through it, it actually separated, so I didn't have to lift it up and notch it out. So if you get it pretty close, you'll be able to do one full pass without having to notch it. And as you can see on the back wall, that's good enough. Like once I kind of bevel the edge a little bit, that'll be perfect. So we'll get the other one cut, and we'll get these things cleaned up and ready to install. Okay, so here's my idea. I wanted to utilize this. I wanted to utilize this door out of the 47 Mercury rear fender, and I thought it'd be really cool. I got this wicked little cap from Gee Whiz Cycles over east. It's vented, which is also cool, but I'll probably put another one on the top in that fitting. But basically, I was just sitting around for a motorcycle project. Fits this beautiful piece of 2-inch stainless, and what I'm going to do is literally just weld it like that and call it a day. And I think it'll look really neat. So that one needs a bit of a trim up. Let me just see if this one fits a bit better. No, they're both equal, 22.5 degrees. So I just gotta modify it slightly to make it work, but ideally that's kind of what we're after. And then you're gonna shut the door, won't see anything, flip it up, pull it out, fill your fuel. And then, you know, we're getting an ample amount, like, hopefully we don't have much slosh back, but who cares? Who knows? I don't know the world. I don't know anything. But that's basically it. Something like that. Welded straight in. So what I need to do is just take off a bit more of that angle. And I think we should be laughing. Right, so we got it mounted, we got our hole, it's all cleaned out on the inside. I just flipped it out and got all the swarf out of it. So she's ready to go. I'm just gonna leave it there to weld it. It'll be nice and easy. And right now, what I'm doing is I just got my piece here and I'm just gonna weld this cap flange onto it now. So I'll do that, let that cool down, then we'll mock it up, weld it, and put the cap on. So it fits really nice in behind the seat. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cap both these sides off. They share each other. So, and what I'm gonna do is I'll run some copper down into that one and a little bit up with a breather on this side. So it'll actually kind of do this motion, which will be kind of a neat idea. But yeah, I reckon it looks really cool. And then we got it right here. So that's it. So cap out, fill up, cap back in, away you go. Okay, so one thing is we have the seat hoop that comes around and is fixed at a 90-degree, just a little short piece that's in there. And the only thing that's holding all this weight is this just welded here. I was gonna make like a big gusset and try and fully gusset it all out. I don't think it's very necessary if I tie this and this together. So what I did was I made an angle. Not actually sure what this angle is because the degree finder on my JD squared bender is no bueno. So I've just made up what I think is close to a 45 degree. And what I think I'm gonna do is come up tight to that right at the top, and then I'll cap this off. And what I think I'm gonna do with this as well is have that copper line, drill and tap and run that line into there and use that as my breather for my fuel. But what I think I'm gonna do is just tie this into here. So essentially it'll be back a little bit farther, kind of something like that. And this is gonna tie this into this to that, and it's gonna be tight, very, very tight. So we're gonna try and do that right now.
Come all you young rounders, and a story I'll tell of the promise of heaven and the warning of hell. Take heed where you ramble, or too soon you will go. Way up on the hillside, where the new flowers grow. Well, they met in the springtime, the sun sinking low. Two star-crossed lovers in the still melting snow. Where the loving was.
Little top pieces just to fill them in. I'll probably just leave that hole there for now. Maybe I'll tap it for a mount for something. But those came from there. I just hole sawed these out so it didn't look like a pig nose so much. And then those are what I just hole sawed out. So I'm gonna tack and do 2 passes on those.
Where the laughter would flow and the fiddle would play. Well, the folks called it wrong, but hell, it seemed alright. In the sun-painted picture, in the day turned.
So we've got the rear tank basically finished. Pieces are welded in. Once the chassis is flipped over, I'll be able to finish welding it. And then the only other 2 bends I'm just going to put in for now is just 2 of these. So I just went and bent 2 90-degree ones. I'm just going to trim them down and probably just mount those something similar like that. And basically what that's going to do is just help support this main, kind of the cowl hoop, I'll call it, that holds the steering. But there's not a lot of support this way, so I want to be able to put these in and just to help support it all. And then eventually, if I want to, I can tie this into that and do a hoop and do a bit on the back if I want to. But for now, I'm going to cut these. I'll just tube notch this one, cut that one 90 degrees, drop it down and probably sit it right about there, right in the sweet spot, and get these welded in.
Well, the air was so still, and the sky was so blue. Before she could see them, the laughter she knew. She heard 2 shots ring out down in the town. There was 3 on the hillside, only one headed down. I was just a baby, but I remember that day when I walked up the hillside, saw 2 mounds of...
All right, so we got everything mounted, basically fully welded in, couple bits when I flip the frame over. We got our 2 pieces that hold the cowl steering hoop, I'll call it, fixed in. So now that's just really rigid, which is great. And the other thing I'm doing right now, which I'll show a little bit more in detail on the other side, is the rear radius arm. I did not like the way that it was sitting prior. It had too much slope, so it was already like loaded, if that makes sense. And what I want to do is I just measured the in-between, drilled this out, and this is the old bung, or this was the bung that this welds into, and it was kind of shaped very similar to this one. So I just cut all the meat off. I threw it in the lathe and spun it down. So what I'm going to do now is just cut a couple more holes on the inside of the frame to be able to gain access to this so that I can weld it on the inside and on the outside. This is going to lift up, and the best thing about this is it's directly in line with the pivot, both vertically and horizontally. So now we shouldn't have too much bind, if any at all. So this should really work. So I'll cut the tacks off those. We'll lift these rear radius rods up once we get this tacked into place. Then we can tack those in. We'll do it the other side, and then we can kind of remove this rear end, finish off the internal and external drive shaft. I have the sleeve made for that now, so I can do the inside, the main drive shaft itself. Then I can finish welding the torque tube. Once that's done, then I can install everything into the gearbox that I need to do with the fork and shaft, and then I can put the other motor in so that we can mock up the radiator. So right now I'm just going to cut some more holes with the plasma cutter so I can gain access to the backside. As you can see, it's open right there, or closed, and then we'll be able to weld this in and continue ticking boxes. So this was the original idea setup that I tried. Unfortunately, it does kind of taper down as well, so it's already got load like I had mentioned. I liked aesthetically how they both matched.
the front and rear radius rod, it looked good, but there was a little bit of binding. Vertically, I had it lined up with the pivot, but horizontally it was down a little bit, so it was actually kind of doing like this motion. So when this was pivoting, the transmission mount, like when the suspension was articulating, it was actually kind of going like that. So on the other side, mind the mess of so many welders and stuff, but now this is what we got. Really nice plane. It's actually not perfectly level yet. It's actually sitting kind of up, which is good, so that when my fat sits on the seat, it'll actually come level. And then what we've done is I've welded the bung right into the side of the frame. We have access to it from the back side, and it's tacked into place now. And this is perfectly in line, like I said, vertically and horizontally with the pivot. So I've already noticed it. Like you can lean on that side and the suspension articulates really smoothly, and on that side it's tight. So we're gonna do the other side, make sure everything's perfectly square again, and we'll weld in the other bung, get the hole cut out, and tick this job off. Well, best thing about that, changing those rear radius rods, is now there's no bind. Like before, when you would push down on this, you could like feel it, like it just didn't seem smooth. Sorry for the squeaky shackles. But yeah, and now it's, you know, it's super fluid. There's no movement in the actual transmission mount itself. Before it was like wanting to push forward. So I'm super stoked with that. I'm really happy that I just kind of went and you know, finished that off. So that was big. We got basically the entire fuel tank set up, finished off. The bars mounted, the cowl struts, like I don't know, steering hoop strut, whatever you. Anyways, basically that whole steering setup is now like complete and tight. Just got to do a few more welds on it, and yeah, we have a place where the seat's gonna sit. It's, you know, everything's kind of structurally there. In the future, you know, maybe tie something in, don't know. But for now, we ticked three major bits off the list. So I'm really happy with that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. I was really excited to use that World War II oxygen tank. I think it was just such a neat piece. And yeah, I mean, it's so suitable for what it is. And it looks like I have R2-D2 behind me, so I must be C-3PO. On next week's, we will be doing, I'm putting the motor in and gonna be doing the radiator, and then after that is pedals. And then once pedals are finished off, like basically everything mechanically is gonna be finished, which is amazing. So that's gonna be a huge step. And then I'll just finish off doing some more sheet metal work on that body. And ideally what I would like to do is have the skin the way I've been pulling it on and off. I want to be able to do that while it's like painted. And so if I have any issues with anything, I can just kind of pull it off and I'm, you know, just got the bare bones the way it is, which would be really neat. So even just for like kind of giving it a shakedown test and everything, it'd just be great to just drive it like this. So I want everything to be kind of connected. And then, you know, basically the only thing, you just slide the arm out for the pitman arm, and then you're able to take the body off, slide it back in, lock it up, you're good to go. So that's super simple. So we'll see you next Sunday for another video. And we only have 19 days left. So I'm gonna have to make a miracle happen to get this thing finished. Like and subscribe, hit notifications. And yeah, we'll see you next week with heaps more done on this. So we'll see you then.